Hello, History 2 students. This is Mrs. Politsky, and I have your notes for the beginning of Chapter 22, Section 1, New Conservatism. So, take a look at your first main idea. Conservatives and liberals disagreed on the role of government. In general, liberals, for the most part, believe that the government should regulate the economy to protect people from the power of large corporations and wealthy elites. Liberals, in number two, are suspicious of any attempt by the government to regulate social behavior. Okay, social behavior would be things like a person wanting to obtain an abortion, perhaps. So, to kind of spell this out a little bit clearer, I'm going to have you take out a piece of scratch paper and we're going to make a kind of a T chart here, talking about some of the characteristics of liberals and conservatives. And when we talk about liberals, these are some of the ideologies that they have. These are people who believe that the government should take an active role in the economy, meaning that the government should be regulating the economy, putting barriers on businesses so that they're protecting the workers, and also the government taking an active role in social behavior, providing protections for things such as speech or perhaps maybe even the right to obtain an abortion. Other things that liberals might believe. They want government regulations of business. They're okay with higher taxes to pay for some of these social programs. They want to raise the minimum wage, typically to what they call a livable wage. They're okay with things like deficit spending. They want to protect civil liberties, and they want to ensure that the government ensures that no one is in need. Compared to conservatives, conservatives are people who believe that the government's power and its role in the economy should be limited in order to maximize individual freedom. They want to deregulate business. In other words, get business to a point where the government is not dictating what business should be doing. They want to lower taxes. And the reason why they want to do this is to stimulate growth in the economy. They want to keep minimum wage at a reasonable level. If minimum wage is risen to a level where it might force maybe a business to cut back hours or to limit the number of employees, that's not helping the economy. They're concerned about deficit spending. They do have a tendency to embrace traditional values, and they have always kind of toted a strong defense for our nation, militarily speaking. So, number three, conservatives generally oppose things like higher taxes and government programs that transfer wealth, typically transferring wealth from the people who have made it to the people who haven't made it. Conservatives believe that taxes and government programs reduce the amount of freedom in our society. Your second main idea, geographical regions tend to support either liberal or conservative ideas. Conservative ideas revived during the Cold War because Americans believed that the liberal economic ideas were leading the United States towards communism, or the idea of socialism. In 1955, William F. Buckley, who you see pictured here below, founded a new magazine that helped revive conservative ideals in the United States, and that magazine is called the National Review, that you see right there kind of in the middle of your paper. Number seven, two regions of the country, typically the South and the West, were more conservative than other areas, particularly the Northeast and the Rust Belt in the 1950s and 60s. And number eight, although Barry Goldwater lost a presidential election in 64, his candidacy showed Republicans that the best way to attract Southern votes was to support conservative policies. And hence, they have been doing that. Richard Nixon hopped on that bandwagon in 1968. Number nine, as riots erupted and drug use and crime soared during the 60s and the 70s, many Americans moved to the suburbs as a result of trying to get away from that. And in number 10, many Americans of deep religious faith were shocked by and concerned about the Supreme Court's decision obviously in Roe versus Wade. And in a way, that kind of unites our conservatives to finding a way maybe to look for legal ways to maybe overturn parts of Roe versus Wade, which they have been able to do. And number 11, evangelical ministers use television to reach out to a nationwide audience. The gentleman that you see pictured below here, Billy Graham, was one of the first. Pat Robertson, he used his cable network, and his network is still around yet to this day. And Jerry Falwell. All these men, for the most part, used television to evangelize and to connect their viewers. Thank you very much.